Internet. This is the 2 Cents Podcast, and I'm absolutely Brandon on the set. Wishing a happy holidays to everybody, all our listeners. Closing out the 2015, and got two special guys with me today. We are without Ohpenmind. Hopefully, he'll be calling in later to check in with us. But doing this solo with my two dudes tonight. So before we proceed into tonight's edition, I just want to introduce a good friend and my mellow, Sean Singer. You want to introduce yourself, brother?
Hey, yo, what's good, y'all? My name is Sean Singer, a.k.a. Ohpenmind, a.k.a. JRS from 7th grade. Philly representative, love Philly, always will be my home. Live in San Francisco right now, repping the Bay Area. Basically hip hop, something that I love, and I'm glad to be here talking about 1995, one of the best years in hip hop history, and ready to get it cracking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we also got DJ Shift in the building, a return guest, repeat offender. You know what I mean? At the 2 Cents
Yeah, what's
Pod.
up? It's DJ Shift. Back to give my thoughts on the year 95 in hip-hop. And for all of us, it's a very impactful year because we're all very impressionable. I mean, this is a time where music really plays a major part in most people's lives. And in 95, there's a lot of dope music that came out. So I guess we should get this started.
Yeah, man. So before we proceed with our review of 1995, I kind of just wanted to ask you guys, what 95 meant to you, and I can start. For me, 1995 was probably the first time I really heard hardcore, aggressive music, and able to kind of detect what was going on. That was like right before junior high, elementary school. So you seeing some images at a young age, and it really got me just wanted to be a rapper, honestly, and wanted to write rhymes and just contribute in some form or fashion to this lovely thing I saw that was going on. So I just look at it from a kid's perspective because I was a kid and not really being able to be a real contributor, but a fan base contributor, and write my little rhymes and going to places and getting singles and taping stuff off the radio. We had the dub tapes, Maxwell tapes, put the paper on the tape, a tape over a tape, and all that good stuff, man. Staying up to the middle of the night to check out Power 99 and DJ Cosmic Kev, and DJ Rand, and all that good stuff, man. So that's 95 to me.
95, I was 12 years old and just started writing rhymes then, I think. I wrote my first rhymes in 5th grade with a cat named Matt Valenza. A.K.A. Venezuela. A.K.A. Matty V. 5th grade Miss Schumacher's class. Reveiw Elementary School. And basically, every summer my family we were in Ocean City, New Jersey, and there was a little record shop called Tunes on the Dunes where I would spend a lot of time every summer. And those cats put me on to a lot of good shit. They weren't necessarily like hip hop heads, but they knew good hip hop. So they put me on to Tribe Called Quest. They put me on to Wu-Tang. They put me on to Illmatic, all kinds of shit. So I was 12 years old and already, listening to some really good shit. And 95 was like the start of all that, or really, 93, 94, but, you're 12 years old, you're trying to absorb all this shit and kind of, take it all in. So that's kind of where I was at in 95.
No doubt. What about you, man?
Yeah, 95 was a good year. A couple years prior, a good friend of mine had given me a mixtape with a lot of stuff. And in 95, when you look back and you hear hip-hop and like it, and you want to learn more, I mean, it's obviously all the pioneers now. So it was very exciting, and yeah, I mean, a couple years later, I would end up buying all these records that came out in '95 on vinyl and playing them out. But as far as we look back now on '95, it's pretty much the last year before commercialism took over, and the industry pretty much changed after '95. So this time period is probably one of the most important besides the creation of hip hop. '95 was pretty much a transition. 20 years ago from now, I mean, it's mainstream now. It is completely mainstream. But back in '95, it was still not mainstream. I mean, I don't know. It's very exciting, and hopefully this list, in our opinions, will cover a large area and a lot of music that was going on.
20
still here today.
Fucking years ago. That's bugging me out right
Yeah,
now. That was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
I like what you said though, man. It's kind of like the break of pop when it became so corporate. I would say '96 was like that last year.
Yeah.
But you saw it coming in '95, and it was kind of still innocent, but you saw it getting bigger. And bigger.
The endorsements definitely came in '96, and so these albums here are legendary. I mean, all
essentials.
These are all essentials. So,
Essentials.
If we were leaving something off or forgot something, I mean, that's just we're doing the best. We're doing the best of the best.
Right. So we're gonna start off, man. We'll go with our first category, and that's gonna be producers. So for those who haven't heard our year reviews, we do it like this. We do a roundtable discussion, and we go from least to greatest, and basically least being 4, 3, and all the way up to 2, and you're number 1. So I'll start off with my number 3. We're gonna do top 3 producers, and for me, I'm gonna go with. I had to go with JD. The producer category was kind of easy for me, and I looked at what JD did in '95. It wasn't a whole lot, but his stuff on Lab Cat in California with Farside, that alone, to me puts him in that top 3. He also did a bunch of remixes that were super, super tight. So JD is in that third spot for me as producer.
Yeah, I mean, that's also when Slum Village started.
No doubt.
That wasn't an official release, but yeah, that was his year when he made a name for himself. And what I like about him is he didn't go by Dilla. I mean, he was just part of the group. He was producer. He wasn't all
part of
flashy.
the Uma.
Yeah, he was part of the Uma.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. My number 3 producer, I'm gonna have to bring a foreign spot in here. The DJ Crush.
Ooh.
And being a DJ, he was one of those guys. There wasn't many solo DJ albums out at the time, and DJ Crush is from Japan. And in '95, I mean, the global hip hop had spread, and he was a producer who could get big names, who was that good and had a similar sound to that boom bap era. That he had no problem getting people like Guru, Big Shug, Black Thought to bless verses on an album that wasn't, at the time, the generic hip hop thing. It was more of trip hop back then, is what they called it. But it is hip hop. So my number 3 would definitely have to be, DJ Crush, who went on to produce many albums after that, and
I still need to get that album in its entirety. Like, I had pieces of it. I had a couple of the Black Thought joints on there, but that's something I still need to go back and buy that.
Yeah, Messio was the album he dropped in '95, and like I said, the Roots had a track, which was the name of the album, and many producers went on to remix that track, including Premier. You had DJ Shadow, who was another DJ, but it was a side branch of hip hop at the time, so very influential and forgotten about. But it came out in '95, and he was doing his thing from across the other side of the globe. And
yeah, Crush is that's one I wasn't even thinking about, man. Like, I looked at the albums, but I didn't even think about DJ Crush, man. So I definitely gotta give a salute to that.
Yeah.
you want to give your third producer?
All right, so I just stepped out of the room for a second because somebody called me up on some prank call shit and told me that they had ordered 700 chocolate chip granola bars to my credit card account. That was some fucked up shit. So what were the two that y'all had said for the producers?
Okay, so I had JD. And DJ Schiff had DJ Crush.
All right, I'm gonna come through with DJ Evil D and Mr. Walt really for the Beat Miners for their production with Smith and Wesson.
Nice one.
And Boot Camp Click and Duck Down in general, they were making beats for pretty much every album that came out on Duck Down at that time. And Evil D, I feel, and Mr. Walt, but Evil D especially, I feel like is one of the most slept on producers of the 90s and in general of East Coast hip hop. I feel like he's got some ridiculously smooth, jazzy, fucking soulful beats, and I'll put him at number 3.
I ain't mad at that. My number 2, I gotta go with the HAVO. I got Havoc from Mobb Deep. Pretty much from one album, the infamous. I was a heavy Mobb Deep fan, and in this time that we talking about, I'm trying to think if he did anything else. I mean, he probably did some Nas, some bridge stuff, but it was basically just Essential, the infamous album. And like I spoke on Mobb Deep in the '96 edition. I just never had heard anything that was so like evil and cinematic with that boom bap, with that that Havoc has that kick drum that and with Prodigy was a perfect compliment to Havoc's production. And so I'm still a fan today. Love Mobb Deep, so I got Havoc as my number 2.
My number 2 is a very obvious choice, being Primo. His work with Group Home, Superstar Beat. I mean, these are just legendary Johns that came out that he produced for them, and he just had so much going on, and he handled it with ease. Pretty much saying, I can produce side projects aside from Gangstar. I am more than that. I don't need just one MC being Guru, who's amazing in his own right. But he brought people who weren't at Guru's level up to a level that everyone respected. I mean, Little Dap, he's got a great catchy voice, but Premier just brought people to another level, and Living Proof is just an example of how good of a producer Primo is. So that would be my number 2.
As we speak, I'm looking him up right now. I just want to see what he did in '95 because
besides that one album,
because I didn't have Primo in my top 3.
No.
I didn't either, but it's making me think now. I mean, to leave Primo out of any top 3 producer list is kind of like blasphemy, but
that wasn't one of his strongest years, man.
That's why I didn't. Is that like Gangstar? I don't think released an album in '95, and like Guru did, he produced Jazz and Taz, right?
Yeah,
but
he had a lot of like offbeat.
Yeah, I mean,
like Living Proof Group Home. Yeah, he was on
the whole album,
right?
Fat Joe's Jealous Ones and 3,000 Effects. Well, I didn't know he did Bone Thugs first of the month. What the heck?
Showing
Primo made first of the month by Bone Thugs?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And they released the side project, the D&D project, which is the legendary studio where many great records happened. And he was the main force behind getting a group collective. The D&D project was pretty much any producer who worked in there. They all made an album together.
Yeah,
the D&D project. But yeah, that's my number 2. Show number 2, Premier.
Wow. I mean, if we're doing top 3 producers of the 90s, that decade, then Primo is without question number 1. But for me, it's not, not close probably. But I didn't have him in my top 3 list. I did have the same number 2 as you, BC. I had Havoc, but because you already did that, I'm not going to cheat the listeners.
I mean, man, it could be repeats.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could be repeats.
Whatever the truth is.
Yeah, most definitely. But I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, and I'm gonna go in a different direction and say Diamond D from Digging in the Crates crew, because that dude in general, I think, is one of the most slept on